So I've finally been able to spend a few hours with the Modern Warfare 4 beta, and honestly, I think this game is pretty solid. It's definitely not perfect, and there are already a few decisions Infinity Ward has made that I'm really not a fan of, but after actually playing it for myself, I also don't think it's nearly as bad as some people are making it out to be. And when I compare it to Infinity Ward's last two games, Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2022, I actually think Modern Warfare 4 has the potential to be the best overall multiplayer gameplay wise out of all three. The gunplay feels good, the movement is a massive improvement over Modern Warfare 2022. The maps I've played so far have been surprisingly decent, and even though I have some problems with the creator class, which I'll get into later, the overall package feels much more refined. But before I get into the video, I do want to set some expectations here at the start. If you're someone who just does not like Infinity Ward games, or you haven't really enjoyed any of the modern Call of Duties recently, I really don't think Modern Warfare 4 is going to suddenly change your mind. There isn't some groundbreaking new mechanic here that completely reinvents Call of Duty. If anything, the best way I can describe Modern Warfare 4 right now is that it feels like a much more refined version of Modern Warfare 2022. It takes a lot of what that game was trying to do and removes some of the things that made it unbelievably frustrating in the first place, such as the weird perk system and the slow movement that game had to offer. And before getting into the talking points that I kind of want to cover here and that has really stood out to me during my beta experience, there is one thing I'm purposely not talking about in this video, which is matchmaking. Matchmaking in modern COD is such a massive topic with so many different factors involved that I don't want to just throw it into this video for 2 minutes and pretend I covered it properly. That deserves its own video on its own, in my opinion. For now, all I'm going to say is that they have 100% taken a step backwards from the more open matchmaking we had in Black Ops 7. And I'll leave it at that for now. So, starting with probably the most important part of any COD game, I want to talk about the gunplay. And just like every Infinity Ward game, the gunplay feels really good. And this shouldn't surprise anyone because regardless of what you think about Infinity Ward's game design, this is something they've consistently done very well with their Modern Warfare games. When you shoot a weapon in MW4, it actually feels like you're firing something that's powerful. The animations and sounds, everything comes together really nicely. You don't feel like you're running around shooting some little pea shooter. And something that surprised me is that the weapons really don't feel as sluggish as I was expecting. I've seen a few people online saying the guns feel slow, and maybe that becomes more noticeable depending on what weapon you use, but from what I've played so far, I haven't really had that problem. I've also gone into this game not expecting the guns to feel as fluid and fast as they have in the past two Black Ops games, so I think for a Modern Warfare game with those expectations in mind, I think they're honestly pretty fast, and I wouldn't really expect them to change it that much going forward. And when you compare it back to Modern Warfare 2022, that game, it felt like your gun weighed 200 pounds. So compared to that, this is definitely a much better experience and just a straight improvement in my opinion. Honestly, when it comes to the gunplay, my bigger issue right now is actually the recoil each gun has, or really the lack of it. At least with the assault rifles I've used, which are the first one you unlock, I don't remember the name, and the M4, those guns are absolute laser beams, and I didn't even have a lot of recoil control attachments on them. And when you combine that with how strong the aim assist feels, there are definitely moments where killing somebody just feels a little too easy. I don't think every gun needs to kick all over the screen or anything like that, but I would like there to be at least a little more emphasis on actually controlling your weapon. Because right now, once your crosshair is on somebody, it feels pretty difficult to miss. Then we have the TTK, and yes, it is pretty fast. But honestly, I'm okay with it. At the end of the day, this is an Infinity Ward Call of Duty. If you came into Modern Warfare 4 expecting a really slow TTK similar to Modern Warfare 2023 or some of the more recent Black Ops games, I don't really know what to tell you. That was probably never going to happen. For myself, I do personally prefer a slower TTK. I think the longer gunfights generally create a larger skill gap because you have more opportunities to react, track your opponent, and potentially turn a fight around. But I also don't need or think every single Call of Duty game should play the exact same and have a slow TTK. Having a faster TTK every once in a while really isn't the end of the world. And after playing Black Ops games for the past couple of years, I actually don't mind having something that feels a little different. Another area where Modern Warfare surprised me more was actually the movement, because I was expecting this to be one of the biggest problems with the game that I would personally have. And while I definitely wouldn't call the movement amazing, it is nowhere near as bad as Modern Warfare 2022. The easiest way to describe it is basically Modern Warfare 2022's movement if it was actually enjoyable. Sliding isn't nearly as powerful as it was in Black Ops 6 or 7. You can't just launch yourself across the map with these crazy long slides as easily anymore, and getting down into prone after sliding also feels way more deliberate, and you actually have to choose where to do it in the correct moment. And surprisingly, the game still feels pretty fluid. A lot of that comes from how quickly you can mantle over things, but the biggest factor is definitely jumping around the map. If you haven't figured this out yet, jumping around corners is 100% the meta in Modern Warfare 4. I would recommend honestly doing it before every single gunfight, because even though the sliding has been toned down, you can still fly around a corner and challenge somebody extremely aggressively if you decide to jump. And because mantling is also so fast, moving around the environment generally doesn't feel as restrictive. So overall, I actually like where the movement is right now. It's slower than Black Ops 7 and Black Ops 6, but it's also not painfully slow as Modern Warfare 2022. And honestly, I think that's a nice middle ground, and I think Infinity Ward is actually taking it into the right direction. Unfortunately, however, while I think the actual moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty good, the creative class system is where things start to get a lot more boring for myself personally. If you've played Modern Warfare 2019, you've basically already seen Modern Warfare 4's creative class system. You have a primary weapon, secondary weapon, 3 perks, 2 pieces of equipment, and that's literally it. Obviously, Gunsmith is back, and I will give them credit here because this seems like it could be one of the better versions of Gunsmith that we've had. There are still a bunch of attachments to choose from, but thankfully they don't seem to come with the ridiculous number of negatives we had in Modern Warfare 2022. You're not putting on one attachment and somehow destroying 3 other parts of your weapon. And the Apex attachments added into the mix, there should be a little more depth when it comes to actually building your guns. So the gunsmith itself is pretty good, but everything surrounding it within the creator class is just extremely basic. There aren't any wild cards like Black Ops, there aren't the vests from Modern Warfare 2023, and there's not even specialists in this game, which Infinity Ward is kind of known for. There's really nothing that lets you create some weird class or sacrifice one thing to gain another. You just pick your stuff and that's pretty much it. One small addition is that your streaks are now tied to individual classes, similar to I think they did this in Advanced Warfare. And I guess that's kind of useful. If I have an aggressive SMG class, maybe I want lower streaks equipped, while on another class I might want to play for something bigger. And that's fine. But it's also not exactly some huge innovation and really pushes the franchise forward. And while on the topic of streaks, this is another decision I really don't understand. Instead of having a score streak system which properly rewards objective play, Modern Warfare 4 uses what is basically a point streak system that we had back in the original Modern Warfare 3. You get 1 kill and that's 1 point. You capture an objective and you get maybe half of that. And after only a few hours of playing, I already know that this system has a pretty obvious problem. Why would myself and anyone actually play the objective? If I'm trying to get my streaks, why would I risk running onto a flag to earn half a point when I can just sit somewhere safer, kill one person, and get twice as much progress? While playing domination, I was capping flags, and half the time I could barely even notice my streak meter moving, which honestly for me doesn't make sense. And unfortunately, as much as I would want them to reconsider this decision, it's kind of just one of those things where the devs decide it for the Call of Duty, and that's pretty much it. No matter how much complaining people do, they're not really going to change much. And pushing kill streaks to the side for a second, a much bigger creative class issue for me personally is the perk system, and more specifically, Ninja and Ghost being in the same perk category. And initially, I was so happy that Infinity Ward finally decided to put Ninja into one of their games. Considering how reluctant they've been to properly give us a Ninja perk, I was actually really happy when I first saw it and heard that they were going to put it into the game for once and not just have it as some weird field upgrade that you can only pop 1 or twice in a given game. However, once I realized that it's in the same category as Ghost, I kind of lost that excitement, as without using both, it kind of defeats the entire purpose of having Ninja in the game. If you use Ninja, you can move around without sounding like you're wearing concrete shoes, which is amazing, but then you're constantly showing up on UAVs. And then if you use Ghost, you stay off the radar, but now you're not really incentivized to move around the map. So either way, the game is encouraging you to slow down. On the bright side, however, unlike the point streak system, I do think this is an area where Infinity Ward could make a change. And I genuinely hope they do, because for the health of pubs in this game, I think this relies heavily on it. As if they keep it the way it is, pubs is going to be really hard for me to play this year, as it's just going to be a really slow gameplay experience. One of the main reasons that Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2022 are two of my least played public match Call of Duty games is because the game was so slow to play. And those reasons was because they didn't have Ninja. And I truly think if they want the players to not feel as frustrated while playing, they have to move either Ninja or Ghost into another perk category, as it'll allow people to run around the map, take gunfights, and give people the freedom to play Call of Duty the way they want to play. And moving on to the final thing I want to talk about in this video, it has to do with the maps. And I'll be honest, I haven't even played every single map in the beta, but from what I could tell, they do seem pretty fine. They are just Modern Warfare maps, and they do have more weird areas. Like, they're not like the Treyarch maps that are just 3-lane head-on-head gunfights. They do have some more interesting things to them, and due to the mantling, there are a lot of cool jump spots on each of the maps to get on to the second floor of a building, which I do like. And another thing I do like is that these maps are definitely better than what we had in Modern Warfare 2019. We'll see if they're better than what we had in Modern Warfare 2022, as it actually doesn't get talked about that often, but the maps in that game were honestly pretty decent. It was just the gameplay itself that made the maps not feel as good, but the maps in that game were pretty good in my opinion, so we'll see if they're on par with those or even better. But the main thing I want to talk about is their decision to put transit in the beta. This transit map is one of those just Treyarch brain dead small ass maps that they throw in for the camo grinders or whatever, and also just to get high kill games, which is fine. Every Call of Duty needs at least a couple of these maps. I mean, in the recent games, there've been a little too many of them, but yeah, every Call of Duty should have this kind of map. And I would prefer what they're doing here is putting in a new one versus just putting in shipment. I mean, I'm sure they'll put in shipment still, but starting off at least with a new version of a small map is better. But I don't understand why they would put it in to the beta. Your progression doesn't carry over, and with these last 2 years of people complaining about the maps being too small and just feeling burnt out of the game, why I really don't understand why they put it into the beta. And yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Considering where Call of Duty is within the general community, it's not really in a bright spot. I mean, people love to criticize the game. A lot of people just complaining about the game for the sake of complaining about it. They don't even like the game. They just complain about it as it's like a meme at this point. So having a map like this kind of just feeds into that. And yeah, I mean, I really don't got much to say. Then I really don't understand why they would even decide to do this. And it's unfortunate because Modern Warfare 4 is pretty different to Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7. It's a different gameplay philosophy. It's definitely slower. And when you add a map like this, it just feels the exact same, as you're just forced into these crazy chaotic gunfights. Anyways, those are my main initial impressions of the Modern Warfare beta. Right now, I think the game is pretty solid. It's definitely not perfect. And if you've hated the past couple Modern Warfare and modern Call of Duty games, I mean, this is definitely not going to convert you. But for what it is, I think it's a much better version of the Infinity Ward games we've received in the past couple years. And considering I'm someone who has always preferred Treyarch Call of Duties, the fact that I'm already enjoying this more than Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2022 is a pretty big win in my book. And with that said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you agree with me, if you think I'm being a little too positive or negative regarding this game, or you think Modern Warfare 4 is nowhere near as bad as people think that it actually is, similar to myself. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.